Hello, my name is Pega and I am the founder and creator of the Radical Resilience Process, as well as the gal who's going to be bringing you all the goods here on this website and in all of our various programs. So I can't really get into talking about the radical resilience pillars without giving you some backstory as to where it all came from. And the truth is that resilience is something that resides in my DNA. And when I say that, I'm not being metaphorical. So I was actually born into a war-torn country on the verge of a revolution. And from there, my family and my loved ones were basically torn from their country of origin against their will, having to escape to survive. As such, my aunt was a political prisoner for several years. My mom was raising 2 kids as a single parent on her own in a brand new country where she didn't speak the language and had to figure out how to survive. Both of these women were living embodiments of resilience for me, and they're both thriving today, which is pretty incredible. But beyond that, there is my own story, which is a tapestry of really incredible events that one could look at as tragic, but I see them as having been key moments in my life that have shaped me and ultimately made me uniquely qualified to teach this stuff. From having survived sexual abuse as a child, to eating disorders in my teens, to very, very prematurely losing my father when he was at a very young age, in my book anyway, and then ultimately losing a job that I had poured my heart and soul into for several years, thinking that this was going to be my gig for the, unforeseen future. And as a result of all of those events, I understand resilience on a different level. It's a embodied experience for me. It's not theoretical. It's not something I learned in a book. It's not that I just read it somewhere and decided it would be a good idea. It is a lived experience. And so when I got divorced several years ago, I found myself experiencing yet another sort of defining moment in my life. And I had a choice to either be a victim and lay down and see that event as something that had happened to me, or to start doing the work and ultimately putting the pieces together. I was fortunate enough to already be a yoga teacher, and then that path took me down becoming a health coach because I needed to figure out what was going on with my health and how to heal myself in a natural way. So I kind of became a coach on accident. And then as I moved to San Diego and realized that there was something bigger here for me, I ended up working with a coach myself, and together we uncovered these 7 pillars of resilience. And even though initially they came to me as what you could call a divine download, subsequently I've done the research and found that there is quite a bit of research, science-based, evidence-based research that backs up the validity of these 7 pillars. And that's exciting. So not only do I have the experience of having put hundreds of women through it, but there's actually research that says this stuff works. So these 7 pillars consist of 1, healing the heart, which has to do with releasing the baggage that we all carry around and really unraveling the programming that we all have. What does that look like? It looks like using cutting-edge, clinically proven techniques to clear that baggage out. Things like mental emotional release, hypnotherapy, neurolinguistic programming, theta healing. So a variety of modalities, forgiveness techniques. Then we have unconditional acceptance and surrender. And really what that looks like is that defining moment when you realize that you can't keep doing things the way you've been doing them. You lean into what's happening and you quite literally give it up to something larger than yourself. As a part of that, you also learn to simply say yes to what's happening and navigate the emotions as they come up, because the emotions are a guiding system. From there, we move into the realm of uncovering your identity. So who am I really? What's my purpose? Why am I here? Who am I beyond the roles and responsibilities of my day-to-day life and how I have identified myself in the world? And once we're done with the healing component of the equation, we begin to move into thriving, which looks like learning how to cultivate creativity and play, learning how to really tap into community, connection, and tribe, joy as a daily spiritual practice, and ultimately learning how to bring all of that home as radical self-care. So the whole thing really is radical self-care, but of course that is its own pillar as well. So those are the 7 pillars, and what we do is we systematically work through each one. It's not a linear process, it's more cyclical, it's more like a cycle of moving through these things. You could think of them as spokes of a wheel, and at the center of that is you and the essence of who you really are. And you have 7 pathways to coming home to that essential nature where resilience resides. I can honestly say anyone would benefit from cultivating the skill of resilience using the radical resilience model. And we tend to work primarily with women who are going through really dark, difficult times. Have I also coached several men? Yes, absolutely. And we work with couples too. So there's really sort of a multi-tiered approach here. If you are a woman that's going through a difficult time, you can work with us one-on-one. You could step into a group program, and there's a multitude of sort of variations in between. If you guys are a couple and you find yourself either sort of at the precipice and struggling to make the relationship work, or you're just really committed to leveling your relationship up to a new level where you're really experiencing that sense of growing together and what we could call sort of 5th way livings of spirituality, where you are evolving spiritually within what we would call the marriage chamber, then we have a program for you as well. So there's a lot of different ways that you can begin to look at radical resilience in your life. There's also a really huge benefit to utilizing this in the workspace. So can you practice resilience-based leadership in an organization? Absolutely. Is there a place for the radical resilience process within an organization, and how to bring this into a team so that you can really be supporting your team to be resilient? So there's just so many different contexts with which to utilize these 7 pillars. So how can you get in touch with us? Well, there's so many different avenues. You can certainly just go ahead and book yourself a Divine Deep Dive call, which is a one-to-one call with me where we look at what's going on and what best, might serve you within the radical resilience world. We have all of our social media channels, so if you just kind of want to dabble a little bit and get a better feel for me and the program, you're welcome to join us in our Facebook group. Of course, we're on Instagram and YouTube and LinkedIn. You can find us in a variety of different places. There's so much free content for you to enjoy both on this website and on our socials. And there are resources and downloads and meditations. There's a members area if you choose to want to be a part of this community and access content on a regular basis. So we're here for you in every possible way that we can be.